Hello friends, this is Growl. In this series, I start with a brand new character in World of Warcraft. No previous achievements, no gold, no anything. Fresh at max level with no connections to see how far I can go. The one catch, I recorded every single minute of the journey and I explained my thought process and decision making along the way. Whether you're just looking to improve your skills and pug your way up, or you just want to come along for the ride, I hope you guys enjoy. Alright. It's reset day. We have something to take care of first. So we're headed to the Caverns of Time. And we're here to kill a world boss. It is the 17th anniversary of WoW. It is reminding me just as we say this, but also there's another world boss that drops not as good loot, but still pretty good loot. That maybe we'll go kill that guy too. I'm going to try and avoid heroic dungeons now. I think we should be graduated from heroic dungeons. We did some mythic plus and some mythic 0. I don't know if we need to do too many more heroics. Oh, and I forgot the best part. The absolute best part is it is the weekly reset, and we somehow, by some miracle, managed to do a mythic plus 6. There he is. Sometimes people like to wait around for the world boss. They need to wait for 500 people, so even if I'm item level 180 or something, I still have to go tag him. Yeah, alright, come on, give me some loot. We got a 220 haste verse helm. Oh, that's juicy. That is juicy. Look at us. We just got, oh my gosh. We just got so many item levels from that. Go open our vault and then we'll go see if we can kill the Shadowlands world boss, which won't drop as good as stuff, but taking advantage of the systems while we're there. So the weekly vault is something that you can open once every reset, and the rewards in it are relative to what you accomplished in that week in raiding, in dungeons, and in PvP. And we did not so much raiding, not so much PvP, and honestly not so much dungeons either, but our character is also severely undergeared. We're going to pop this open and hope we get something good. We could use a trinket or we could use a weapon pretty bigly. We got boots, 229 boots. We only managed to complete less than 4 mythic plus dungeons, but this is a very big upgrade for us either way, so we'll take these. All right, we'll get this world boss loot and then we'll see if we can. Oh, I should have. Oh no, I do have. Okay, I grabbed replenish the reservoir real quick. Good. So this is a quest. It's a weekly quest that you get to gather 1,000 anima each week, and we get a renown from this and maybe some other stuff too. And one thing I know about the world boss is you get a lot of anima for doing this. Yeah, I feel like world bosses are a little bit of an outdated concept in WoW. Oh, we got our conduit. I'm not gonna complain. We got a little gold and we got our conduit. Getting a key. Okay, that's some guys doing some mythic 0. Again, oh nice. Our rate at how often we get rejected is very, very low. It seems like we almost never get rejected into groups. I don't know why. I don't know if this is just luck or maybe there's not a lot of people playing or maybe everyone's just chilling. Now, don't tell this guy, but I believe if the only reason you're doing a mythic 0 is to get a key, I think there's a vendor in Oribos. As long as you've done a mythic plus before, you can go to that guy and get a key for free. We could use the weapon too. I think there's a weapon in here, but really we want this trinket. This will be a big boost for us. All right, we'll help summon. So to summon people, you just click on their name in the party, you target them, and then click the stone. Sometimes it can bug out if they're like in a loading screen or something. So, I mean, we've already done some mythic 0s and we got some nice gear, so we're not too scared anymore. We were scared a little bit the first couple mythics we did, but now we're not scared at all. Need some water before we start. Let's roll. I wouldn't call our tank super overgeared, but he seems to have pretty nice gear, so it should be a pretty easy run. Guess we're chilling. I don't know if we're trying to sneak by those guys or what, but I don't think they'll take too long. And we got mobs. We have that patrol coming behind us, so I'm gonna kind of maneuver around this way so we don't pull it. I had a very high confidence level that we were gonna pull that, but I didn't want to be the one to do it. Oh, we didn't activate our conduit. We'll do that after this run. Well, use our interrupt on this guy. It's gonna be kind of a scary pack. We'll use our totems, we'll slow down the mobs and use our interrupts, capacitor, all that stuff. Try and help out in whatever means we can. Okay, last time we got to this pack, our team couldn't figure out how to skip it. Alright, looks like we're fighting it again. It's totally okay to fight it. Interrupt this guy since he's kind of far out of the pack. Team's taking a lot of damage. We'll drop our ascendants right away. Our cap totem again too. This thrashing does quite a bit of AoE damage, so whenever I see that, if I have my astral shift available, I'm just gonna use it. It's a good habit to have anytime there's AoE damage, just to sort of pop your defensive. If you know you need it for specific mechanics, then you can hold on to it, but otherwise there's no reason to. Just helping reduce the group damage is always nice. We'll interrupt this guy. We don't really have much. We used our Ascendance last pack. We used our Healing Tide, I guess, just to try and make sure we don't fall too far behind. We have our Fey Transfusion too. We got an Innervate. Oh, nice. So I normally have a weak aura that tracks when I get an Innervate, and it shows a little icon on the screen. But I just kind of heard the sound. Innervate is something that a boomkin can use on a healer that makes it so your spells don't cost any mana. Not too worried about mana in this Mythic 0, but it's good to know about anyway. And then in a coordinated setting, you'll kind of want to plan your Innervates and get them at specific times. Now it looked like we were trying to skip these two guys, but you actually do need to kill these two in order to activate the boss. There's some shenanigans you can do to skip these two, but probably nothing you guys will run across. Got some group damage out, so again we'll use our Astral Shift and throw our Cloud Burst down. It would have been nice if we had Healing Rain on the ground for that AoE damage, but once the damage started coming out, we don't want to press the Healing Rain in the middle of it. It's something that you almost always want to have active preemptively. That was the word I was looking for. Alright, so things are looking good. I think I'm going to Bloodlust this boss. Our mage can Bloodlust as well. So if you're ever nervous about knowing when to use it and you have a mage, you can just make the mage do it. This boss is going to die pretty quick. I'm just going to use it now. So again, we're getting the tree real low. Now we have our Fey Transfusion. I feel like we didn't have our Fey Transfusion last time. Do this for some extra damage. Oh yeah, we're blasting this guy. Oh, okay, so we got a weapon. The good news is we have a weapon. We got a 210 weapon upgrade. The bad news is we don't have an offhand to pair with it. So we could put this on, but I think this is actually better, considering we don't have a shield. But once we get it, now we're on the lookout for a shield. So we didn't get our changeling, but we did get the shield. Looks like our druid activated this respawn point right there. For whatever reason, this dungeon, you need to activate the respawn points. And help our team out. Since we saw the boss go this way at the start, we know this is the right way. While we go around and look at peek at all these things, we can use our spirit walkers just so we can keep casting while we look around and check all the signposts, or whatever we want to call these things, like pedestals. This way. They actually do pretty decent damage. Not that damage is real important in these keys, but I guess I was kind of expecting with a shaman, like a shaman healer that's not that geared, we wouldn't be able to contribute too much. We can do a nice little piece. Alright, I guess our bear was back there like skinning stuff or something. Drop a cap totem on all these guys. It looks like one of these heals got off. We can actually purge these heals one by one if we really need to, but it is kind of unfortunate if we have to do that. I think it's this way. Yeah, maybe I should be looting all that stuff, but I'll peek over here. Okay, so it's not this way. Again, I mentioned it in a previous episode, but I do have a video where I go over like all the specifics of this maze and how to solve it really quick and stuff, so I don't want to talk too much about it, since I'm sure this won't be the only time we do this dungeon anyway. So littered throughout here, there are some important casters, namely these shapers and these tenders. So those are the two guys that we want to watch out for to interrupt. The tenders, though, their spell is a shield, and we can actually remove the shield before it activates with our purge. So the best thing for us to do as shaman is to find the tender and interrupt the tender, and then be ready to remove the shield if needed. Kind of lost track of what was what here. I think the next one is just the boss. Oh no, I missed the tender. I'm just gonna walk into here. We're wrong, we're wrong. If you mess up the one at the end, you can just tell them that you were guessing the whole way anyway. For higher difficulty stuff, we could have maybe saved our Fey transfusion for the intermissions, because the intermissions are when most of the damage is going to come. This situation right here, but I'm fairly confident in our ability to heal, and I have lots of other stuff available anyway, so cat totems to stun this fox. If anyone runs into the fox, it does like a big AoE stun and a lot of damage. Pretty devastating if people get hit by it, so you want to do what you can to slow it down. Ideally, if the fox spawns away from all the action, you can just use a hex on it, and then it'll keep it in place. Use our spirit walkers, that way we can cast while we have the we need to run away from the fox. A little annoying, but probably should have used frost shock or something to slow it down to buy myself a little bit more time. And try and hex it. Looks like the mage tried to poly it. Put a healing ring over here, maybe it'll kind of tip off to our teammates that this is the right one. We'll put a fate transfusion. We'll just keep putting ground effects. But this boss also has a mechanic where it uses a spell on the tank and the tank has to interrupt it. And it seemed our tank was struggling a bit with it. Our Moonkin says, watch this yeet. Alright. But he's on an Australian realm, so it looks like his internet is. I'm watching the yeet. Tank is taking a swim real quick. Guess I'll jump in too. Okay. Okay. So in these packs, these staghorns are the ones that we're going to want to interrupt. Might be better if I would have held on to my interrupts a little bit longer just to play safe. Because now, yeah, no one will have an interrupt for this. So these staghorn guys are healers. And the more you pull without interrupting, they put shields and heals on all the guys. I don't know if we're saving too much time by pulling these together. I don't think we need a health potion. Might not be the most efficient use of our time here. I can keep using Purge. One downside of spamming Purge, though, is that it uses a lot of mana. You have to be careful about using too many Purges. But I'm starting to have the feeling that if I don't purge these out the shields, I don't know if we'll ever kill these guys. He was taking a lot of damage from these reavers, so I'm gonna pop Ascendance just to kind of catch back up. Looks like I wasn't using my Cloud Burst super well either. But we lived. I think I might hold on to my kick. Maybe I'll save it for the heal. I'll let the shield go off, or maybe the tank kick that one. In pug groups, pretty often I like to kind of like hold on to my interrupt and use it at the very end of important casts only, just because I don't necessarily know what my teammates are gonna kick. But if I'm playing in a more organized group, something happened to our Moonkin there. In an organized group, most of the time I like to just kick it right away, because it sort of lets your team know what you're kicking, and you know, they have more time to react if you end up missing it or something like that. We got a respawn point just before this area, so our Moonkin should be already back soon. We already got a loot drop, so not much hope of getting more loot here. Little unfortunate, we need a shield to use this. Now we need to find a trinket or a shield. And I know Theater of Pain has both of those, so I think we know where we're headed next. Although the chance of finding a Theater of Pain seems low. Thinking of holding on to Bloodlust. We have our Moonkid that's a bit far back there, but that's alright, I guess. Hopefully after doing a couple Mythic Pluses and a couple Mythic Zeros, now you can sort of see the difference in pace between, you know, Mythic Zero is a bit more chill. You do have to loot the mobs. Sometimes you see people that are leveling up professions and stuff. Not as much of a hurry. There's no timer or anything. Maybe I should have interrupted that. Yeah, we'll be on the lookout to interrupt the boss from now on. And I saw that boss look over at the mage for the Mind Link cast, so I kind of started preemptively moving, just because I knew I was going to have to get away from him. When I get these ads on me, I like to run them towards the tank just so we can sort of like help DPS them down and get them all grouped up. Nice, so we completed Mythic Zero Miss. Oh wow, we got a staff too, so we got a one-handed weapon and a staff. The amount of loot that I'm getting on this character is crazy. I don't know if this is normal or what, but we already got we got 2 weapons in the same run. Now we're up to 192. It feels like we've gotten like 10 item levels. Alright, so we need a trinket. We couldn't get our miss trinket, so our options are, we could try and do more miss if we can trick anyone into doing a... Oh my gosh, my key is a level 6. Fortified Spiteful though. Spiteful is going to be a lot easier for me to manage than bursting. So whatever affixes are on these keystones each week change. I can't use my return to camp. I'm actually just going to walk out of the dungeon and fly back, because I still need to put this conduit back. So our options are, we can do a Mythic Zero of a theater to try and get a trinket, or we could do like a low key, like a +2 or a +3 or 4 of either theater or miss. We'll see what's available. +2 Sanguine Depths. Not necessarily one we need. We're really looking for a trinket. I mean, there are some trinkets in some other dungeons that we could use just simply to boost our item level, and that may be what we end up doing. Let's apply to this key. It's a +5. They need a healer. Let's see how desperate they are for a healer. I don't think we'll be able to get into a +5. Yeah, declined. Feels bad. At least we tried, right? Sometimes you just gotta fire your shot. If that's the worst that happens, it's not too bad. Another thing, let's apply to this +5. Let's just apply to stuff. Any one of these keys, if we can trick a group, any group, if we can trick to let us in, any one of these will be great score for us and great loot. So we may get declined from 20 different keys in a row, but you saw last time we got all it took is us to get into 1 +8 theater. I mean, 8 is a little bit scary. I don't know if we're ready to deal with Grievous on this character. So another option we have is to do our own key. Doing our own key is pretty ideal. Maybe we'll down level this to like a 2 and we'll just do our own key. Maybe like a 3 or a 4. A 4 might be a bit scary. +4 Spires. Will these guys let us in? Oh, they let us in. Spires +4. right when I joined, someone said, doubt it will matter. I assume they're talking about me being so low level, but sounds like they're more than welcome. Okay, so here's what we can do. Let's run over to the this guy real quick, and we'll down level our key. We'll down level our key to a 4, and now if you complete a key that's the same level or higher than your current key, you can actually change yours into something else. And so since we don't want spires, we're gonna reduce my key to a 4. That way when we do the spires, I can change mine for something else. Uh-oh. So our team said you forgot to reset the dungeon. And if you join a group and the dungeon is not reset, that's usually a bad sign as a healer, because that probably means that the team that you just joined went into a dungeon and then failed it, and then the healer left or got kicked, and now they're looking for a new healer. So it's usually a red flag. But when we're 192, look, sometimes you gotta walk head first into danger. Can't be scared. Let's just leave this on our inventory. It's a good idea, even if you normally use a two-hander, to hold on to a one-hander and a shield in your inventory, just in case you find like a really good one of them. All right. Uh-oh. They have an add-on that checks everyone for what consumables and stuff they're using, and it just flagged me in the chat and told everyone that I'm not using a food buff or anything. I don't even have I don't even have much selection here. Sorry, friends. I would use a food buff if I could, but
2, 1.
I do not have one available. Okay. Let's see. There's actually a lot of different mobs that we have to worry about kicking in this dungeon. We'll try our best to figure everything out. So that little ring that you heard is a heal. So now we have to deal with Spiteful. And during Spiteful week, every time we kill a mob, it's gonna spawn this little ghost that's gonna chase after us. And these guys hurt really bad, especially us, since our gear isn't too strong. So we gotta be extra careful not to get hit. Looks like someone's kicking the Goliath, so we're gonna kick this caster out here just to drag him in, and we can use our cap totem to kind of stun everything. Again, anytime, see how these ones turn red? That's because they're on us. And we can actually use a different talent or some sort of strategy to deal with them, but for now we're just gonna Frost Shock. If we see one coming after us, we're just gonna Frost Shock it and try and run away from it. So these imbue weapons, I can purge that and drops this little weapon on the ground, and you can actually pick it up and then swing it on the mobs. I don't even know if I have like auto attack bound since I'm a shaman, but most of the time if you're playing with a more organized group, they like the melee, the warrior can pick those up. Okay, so you can see that one hit did, oh my gosh. Okay, so now you guys see how much these things hit for on my poor shaman. It's basically 3 hits and it'll kill me, so I have to always be aware of any of those and be running away as fast as I can. Now, the big cast that I'm always looking out for is from this Goliath. It's called Rebellious Fist. And you can see that anytime we come up to an attack with a Goliath, I mark that target as my focus. And I just sort of watch it as much as I can. This looks like a lot of mobs, so I'm not even going to worry about DPS right now, and I'm just going to get down my Cloudburst and pump some heals and stuff. But now that things look like they're stable, we can use our... we'll kick that Goliath, and now we can use our Fade Transfusion. We'll drop a cap totem too to stun these Spitefuls. Remember, it's not just our spitefulls that we care about. We want to do what we can to help our teammates as well. If we see our teammates having to run from the spiteful, we can use our frost shock just to slow them down, or use our earthbind totem or anything like that. I will use our bloodlust on the boss. This boss should die pretty quick, I'd imagine. So this bird right here shoots out these orbs. These orbs hurt real bad. So most of this fight, our game plan is going to be, we're going to watch this bird. It's going to fly somewhere in the room, and we're going to see where he's facing. And then we're going to make sure that we're not in the direct path of the bird. That way we don't have to worry about it. And that's priority number one, is watching this bird the whole time. That's basically where he gets you, right? He just flies around the room. And again, although we're starting to push the difficulty levels up, this one isn't still too tough. We're not going to be super punished if this bird gets us. So there's certain ways people like to do these pulls. These mobs right here throw spears, and a lot of times the best way to handle ranged mobs is to hide behind a wall. And so you see what our tank is doing here. He's pulling them down here, and then he's hiding behind this wall. And then that way these spear guys come in real close. Then I can even, you know, drop a cap totem or something just to stun everything. Demon Hunter is really cool because of that sigil of chains as well. He can grip all the mobs together. Again, you can see we're having to use our utility a lot more this week. Every time these spiteful shades come down, I'm trying to use my totems or my frost shock or something just to help slow them down, which is a little bit different from the key that we did last week. We only did one key that had an affix on it, that +6 the other side, but that was one where we have to do mostly healing, and so there wasn't as much utility that we cared about, but there was more healing that we had to do. But these guys don't do too much damage once we get them grouped up nice, so we'll just blast some guess ourselves. And now these spitefuls I also didn't mention, but they slowly lose health over time, so you actually don't even need to kill them. So let's say we're killing that pack and now we're going to the next group over here. We don't even really need to fight those spiteful. We can just kind of run away from them and they'll die over time. These little cat bird guys, they do quite a bit of damage to tanks, so we gotta watch our tank on this pull. You can see it stacks up this bleed here that does quite a bit of damage, so might have to pump them with some heals and do some stuns and stuff. But again, now you can sort of see what happens where once these ghosts start spawning, things get a little more complicated. For some reason I couldn't hit that guy. That was really weird. I was like trying to cast on him, but there's like some invisible wall or something stopping me. And I think you can't jump on these angels to go to the next platform until you've gotten rid of all the ghosts. So, although I just mentioned you kind of want to run away from them, if you need to use like a portal or an angel or something, we want to kind of fight him down. Use our interrupt on that guy. We don't know what that spell does, but a lot of times if there's a ranged mob that's out of the pack, I tend to like use my single target damage on it and focus it down, because a lot of times the DPS will kind of be helping out the tank and focusing all the stuff that's around the tank. The ranged guys can kind of get neglected a little bit. Okay, this one might be a little bit scary because we got two of these Goliaths. So right away I'm looking at my cooldowns. I have Ascendance and I have Spirit Link if I need to use it. So I'm going to hold off on my kick a little bit, and then I saw someone kicked one of them, so I used mine on the other. And I know I got my big cooldowns here in case I need it. This is a against caster mobs, you have to be a bit more flexible as a healer. Because you don't necessarily know if things are going to go wrong, right? Maybe your team will interrupt everything, or maybe they won't. So one thing I just realized now, again, sometimes my UI elements are like on autopilot, and I don't even think to mention them, but so I have a little weak aura, which is a UI mod that pops up on my screen every time these spitefuls spawn, and it plays a sound if they're on me. You can see that one spawned and it didn't play a sound. This one saw, I think it's like a sword unsheathing or whatever. And it might seem a little bit obnoxious, but at the same time, it's really important that you don't get hit by those. And sometimes when the affixes change each week, you might need little UI modifications or stuff to remind you that, you know, it's happening. So I'm actually going to leave this on because I would kind of recommend you guys get something similar as well. One thing is with the UI mod, like the weak aura sounds, they're a little bit less custom. It's kind of hard to change the volumes of them, so sometimes the volumes of those sounds might feel a little bit whack. So one really cool thing that our Moonkin did was he dropped down an Ursul's Vortex on this pack, and these skirmishers jump around, and the Ursul's Vortex actually grabs them back in and stops mobs from jumping around. So pretty smart play from him. Probably not something you'd expect in like a +4, so maybe this guy's on, you know, an alt character or something. Okay, this pull's doing a lot of damage here, so we're gonna pop our Ascendants. Looks like our warrior pulled threat really quickly. Lots of group damage, so we're also gonna use our Spirit Link. We could have maybe saved the warrior if we Spirit Linked right away, but our reactions weren't quite there, but that's okay. It looks like the Goliath is going to die, so we're going to use our interrupt on the other caster. And now we just have a massive army of ghosts. We'll put down our Earthbind Totem and focus down the last remaining guy. And now technically our Boomy can use a res. Can use a res, but we're limited to the amount of reses we can use during combat. And he decided to wait till the last second and then used it. That's okay. I always hear about how toxic WoW players are, but so far every group has been pretty positive. People have been giving me chances, like you can see there. A little mistake happened and everyone just like, oh sorry, like made a mistake or whatever. People seem to be pretty friendly in these runs. So far no one's you know, you'll definitely run into the guy that'll be like, oh dumb healer, didn't even give me, I didn't even get one heal or whatever, but you just gotta kind of ignore those people, make your own analysis. But let's be honest, you know, if we're doing low level stuff and we've only been playing our guy for a week or so, yeah, we probably suck, you know. Nothing wrong with playing bad. That's okay. You know, we don't need random people on the internet to tell us that we're bad when we've been playing for 1 week. We're gonna interrupt this Inquisitor, and we want to put our focus damage on the squad leader. Okay, I'm looking at my cooldowns and I don't have much except for Healing Tide, so I'm just going to use that right now. We can remove this weapon and we want to keep putting damage on the squad leader. The squad leader has an aura that reduces all the group damage that we do, and so that's a mob that we want to focus down first. Seems like maybe our team didn't quite get the memo. And the squad leader died last, but that's okay. We'll frost shock this guy and run around a little bit while we focus the last mob. Alright, we don't quite have our Bloodlust yet. We'll still... Actually, we might not use it on this boss. Boss will probably be all but dead by the time in 20 seconds. We may only get one more bloodlust left in the dungeon. You can see this boss puts a bleed on party members, so it's important to have party frames that can track that bleed, keep that person topped, especially considering these orbs are going around. And again, these orbs are really important that we dodge those, and we want to keep people topped when they have the bleed, because you know, people get hit by orbs sometimes, right? And we want to give them as much room for error as we can. Everybody makes mistakes, so we don't want to, you know, we don't want to put our teammates in a tough situation where they have to dodge every single orb or they die. Once we get to really, really tough stuff, you know, when you're playing with the big sweaty nerds, that'll be the case no matter what. You know, you make a mistake and you die, but in these levels, we should, you know, we should try and think in a way like give our team as much room to make those mistakes and still be okay. Now we fly to the second to last platform. Honestly, I think the rest of the dungeon is pretty smooth from here. I'm not too worried. I can't help but wonder if maybe some of the dungeon runs we did last week helped out us getting into this run, because we had a little bit of score, right? We had proof that we could do a 6, even though we got really lucky into getting into that 6, right? We had no business getting into that 6, but we just happened to play with a group that did one and they wanted to do another. And those are going to be the best runs that you get. Because in Group Finder, no one's going to take you into a run unless you're qualified for it, right? But if you're playing with a group of people and you end up pushing a key up, you can sort of like get into a run that you're not qualified for, right? Almost like Tinder. If you're not good looking on Tinder, you're never gonna get good matches ever, no matter what you do. But if you go out there and meet people in the real world, you can trick them with your personality to hang out with you. So it looks like we pulled this stuff on accident. It's really important as a healer when your team pulls stuff to hold back as long as possible until everyone makes a judgment as to what we're gonna do. We're taking some pretty heavy group damage, so I'm gonna pop my Ascendants. Also gonna focus target the Goliath here and get ready to interrupt him. It's important as a healer to kind of hang back when those sorts of things happen, when people pull stuff, until everyone makes a commitment. That's because as long as you're away from the mobs and out of combat, you can always resurrect people, right? Let's say we were in a situation where that pack was super dangerous and we weren't ready to kill it. If I would just stay back, we could just let our teammates die and I could resurrect them, right? Chances are in a lower level group, that's probably not going to be what happens. You're probably just going to turn around and fight it, but it's a good habit to kind of stay away from stuff. Yeah, so these guys throw spears at anyone that comes near them, and you can see I kind of gave them some distance there because I knew that was going to happen. But you can drop a spirit link here just to make sure everyone's topped. Use our Fey Transfusion to clear off all the rest of the guys. Dude, this guy hurts. Oh my gosh. I haven't really been looking at our teammates too much, but they seem to be doing pretty well. Maybe slightly over-geared for the content. Let's see, 229. Oh, 248. Our tank is very high level. I guess that makes sense. 248 seems very high for a Spires +4. But this boss is very similar to the second boss in that it has a single target. This one is like a magic beam, not so much of a bleed, but really the same thing. Goes on an individual person, you gotta keep them topped. When it's on us, we're gonna pop our Astral Shift. We do it as early as possible just to make sure it gets that initial part as well. You can see how little damage we're taking, right? Even though we're not super high level, just because we are using our defensives when we can and proactively reduces the amount of damage we take by a large amount. gonna make a judgment call here, and I'm actually gonna bloodlust this guy. Maybe it was unnecessary, but I think the last boss is pretty easy, so yeah, maybe that was a little bit overkill. Oh well. Live and learn, you know? Don't be afraid to make mistakes, even I'm doing it. So we have the last 3 mini bosses and then last boss, and we're done. And we're really looking for a trinket. The trinket in this dungeon is not very good, but it's a big item level upgrade anyway. Gear filter restoration. Okay, so this is actually maybe I'll talk about this a little bit, and we can just talk about it right now because that doesn't do too much anyway. So the loot that you get at the end of the dungeon can depend on what specialization your loot is set to. So for example, by default I'm set to healer specialization, right? And I only get healer items. However, there is a trinket in this dungeon, but the trinket only drops if you're a DPS player, or rather only drops for DPS specializations. And so normally if I'm in healer mode, I'm not going to get this trinket ever from the dungeon. It will never drop for me. I'll have to get someone else to trade it. But I can change my loot specialization to DPS. So basically I'm saying I'm playing a healer, but I want DPS loot. And while that isn't always the case, it is the case for this one moment because I need a trinket really bad. And I don't even care if it's a DPS trinket, to be honest. We can make it work if it is. It's not my favorite trinket, but like our trinkets are so low that we could use one bad no matter what. This last angel can actually be a bit scary. He has a lot of different auras going on, one that increases the damage of your party and another that just pulses straight up damage. So on top of all this dodging and spear stuff that's going on, you can see right here this number in the top right of the screen going up and up. So we need to make sure we're pumping heals throughout this part, especially towards the end. This is a good time we can maybe press our healing tide and press our defensives. Now we're face to face with the last boss. I'm gonna sit down and drink. Sometimes people will wait for you, like they'll wait for you to have full mana before a boss fight, which isn't always necessary, but it's cool. But sometimes I forget. After playing the game so much, I sort of know how much mana I need for every boss. And considering that every gold on this character counts, I'm not even, like, I'm saving my drinks and not even using them. But, you know, sometimes the team is gonna wait. And you can say, like, I'm ready or something like that. Yeah, this was very, very quick. Our hunter is probably pretty well geared, 229. Yeah, everybody is way higher than us. Although, I guess not way higher than us. We're 192. I don't know how we keep ending up in these groups, but I'll take it. Lots of group damage, so throw down healing rain and cloud burst and stuff. Yeah, we're destroying this boss. We barely need to do any of the mechanics. That's the thing with these, like, HP percentage, like, phasing bosses, is when you're doing them at a lower level, they just phase so quickly. Don't even really get to see much of what they do. Run all these orbs and bring them into the middle. We'll pop our Ascendants here, because why not, right? The fight's basically over. The dungeon's over. And we did it. We timed a +6 spire, or a +4 spires. Not a +6. We've actually never completed a heroic or mythic spires before. Oh man, we got 90 rating. Okay, let's see what we get here. We got our trinket. See, there we go. That is the move. We changed our loot spec to try and get the DPS trinket again. This isn't anything special. It's actually a pretty funky trinket to have on a healer, but watch how big of an item level jump we get here. We get 4 full item levels from this trinket. And also, let's re-roll our key here. I'd like to exchange our keystone. And we get Product Wake 4. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'll be releasing regular episodes, so make sure you subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and click the bell to get notified when the next episode is out. I also come out with regular guides for healers in World of Warcraft, as well as videos explaining UI and all other sorts of things. If you enjoy content like this, I'd also highly recommend coming to check out my stream at twitch.tv/yumytv, where we're always gaming there. The link is in the description, and happy keying.